You're listening to the Dirty Air Podcast.
Hey, let me hear some Skinner, brother.
It's in the face, Dilmer. In the face.
I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't know how to party.
And now, here are your hosts, Chuck Bush, Jonathan Merriman, and Matthew Dillner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Dirty Air Podcast. We are here in the NASCAR.com radio studios outside the NASCAR Hall of Fame in lovely Charlotte, North Carolina. I am Chuck Bush, joined today again by Jonathan Merriman and Matthew Dillner. Matthew, what were you doing just a second ago? Like, we're getting ready to go to air.
I was trying to get the green flag.
He was trying to pull the green flag.
He was trying to pull the flag, but you couldn't.
What's the story about the guy trying to pull the sword out of the rock?
You mean King Arthur?
Yeah, King Arthur.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you are not going to be the king now.
No.
Nope.
No.
You are no Richard Petty.
No, I don't have a cool enough hat to be Richard Petty, and I don't have a belt buckle the size of your head.
Oh, Lord.
Jonathan
Just
Merriman
leave it alone.
just
Just leave
knocked
it
over
alone.
our props.
If you're
There's a
watching,
gas can behind him, by the way.
if you're watching on YouTube or NASCAR.com, watching the full replay on there, you can see that we have gas cans in the background with flags on them and all that. But if you're listening in iTunes, if you went in the iTunes store and put the checkered flag up, it's not time to end right now. Put it up.
Okay.
Put it up.
Okay.
Flagman
Put
of
it up.
America is on
Yeah.
that sign.
But if you're listening in iTunes, you obviously can't see that because you're listening to basically the radio audio only version of this, which, that's seriously, you
I'm
just drop the
dropping
flag.
everything.
Stop touching things. Just focus. I know you're probably sleep deprived right now.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Why?
Extremely
Why
sleepy.
are you sleep deprived?
Yeah.
You know,
Tell us about your shirt.
yeah.
My wife and I welcomed Hudson Gray Dillner into the world the other day.
Who's that?
Yeah.
That's my new son.
Your new son.
Well,
You had an
my
old
only son.
Yeah.
And we're enamored. We're absolutely just so in love and so blessed. And
Do you still have the hospital wristband?
It's
yes,
like,
I do. I do have a hospital wristband.
There you go.
how long are you going to keep that on?
How long were
Dude,
you? In,
I don't know if I haven't really showered much. And
how long were you in
I
labor?
haven't slept much. I wasn't in labor. My wife was. Trust me, I was actively involved in the process. I was going to stay north, and they were short-staffed, so I basically
Stop,
touched.
He can't talk. Like he can't.
I was touching
it's like
buttons.
They were.
I was in the middle of the
they
birthing
said-
process. I was like a nurse. I had scrubs on.
You're
The
a
thing was
midwife.
amazing. But he's beautiful, and I'm so blessed. And thanks for even mentioning him. So
no, it's a big deal.
Means a
Yeah.
lot to me.
So
I can't wait till he
gotta-
replaces you on the
do have
podcast.
to. I do have to ask a question.
Okay, this is gonna be good.
Hudson Gray.
Hudson Gray.
I mean, that's that's a classic name. It's great. It's
Wanna
kind
go
of like
something old
kind
school?
of like a river or maybe a car
Classic. Well,
that you have on your
I am
shirt.
wearing it right now. So the Hudson Hornet, the fabulous
Yeah.
Hudson Hornet,
And then you're
so many
wearing
drivers
a
like Dick
gray
Rathman
hat.
and Herb Thomas and so many people. Marshall T.
Doc Hudson
Doc Hudson.
from the movie Cars.
But
Great
Pixar.
movie.
you know, I love
good
the
movie.
history of our sport.
And then you also have on a gray hat, but I can only
But the
assume.
gray is
I can
not
only.
for the color.
I know it's not for the color. I can only assume that it has to reference with a short track that has a long, prestigious history in NASCAR, which you geek out about all the time. Bowman
Gray Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my engagement pictures
You
there and
are
everything. And there's my boy. Check him
You
out.
are a racing.
He's a lot
nerd.
better looking than me.
You are a racing nerd. That is a beautiful baby.
Thank
That
you.
is a beautiful baby. But you are
Way
a
better
racing
looking
nerd.
than me. I am, and I love my sport.
You named your kid after a car and a track.
But we love the name first. My wife loved the name.
You snuck it in there.
No, I tried
Don't
to
lie.
I tried to get Foyt.
You
As
no,
an
you
AJ
tried to
Foyt.
get Dayton.
I tried to get Dayton,
Alexander.
Alexander, so his initials with
Would
his
be
middle initial
Daytona.
would be Daytona.
Yeah.
The wife didn't go for it.
Obviously,
Erica is
yeah.
a lot smarter than I give her credit for.
You probably just basically kept hounding her, and she was finally like, okay.
I gave her the
Fine.
choice. We had two names on the docket, and when she was holding him for the first time, it was a really special moment. Anyway, you guys don't
He's
want to
gonna
hear
cry.
about all that stuff. I know if I don't
He's
watch it,
gonna
I
cry.
will cry. I'm emotional.
Yeah, you are.
But I said you can name them, whatever are the names we discussed. So, and she loved Hudson Gray.
I mean, it's a cool name, but we call you MD. He's going to be HD, so he has to go into TV now.
Yes,
He's going to
full
be HD, full
Yeah.
HD.
3D ain't gonna work.
4K is
Yeah.
the thing now, though.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't want to
True,
name
so-
my kid a number.
Why would you name your
4.
kid a number?
4K D. 4K Dillner.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
For KD. It's for
KD.
Kevin Durant.
All right.
That's
All right, let's
on
move
the
on
rundown.
to racing.
Because of that, the baby was born. So Dillner was not in one of the greatest places in the world on race day, Darlington, South Carolina.
That's right, baby.
It was
That's
an awesome
a special
weekend.
place. I walked into that track and got twice as many goosebumps as I got when I walked in today or drove through the tunnel.
This guy was sending me videos, okay? He went up in the grandstands.
Kyle Petty
He was sending me videos that were just beautiful.
drove the 21. Was it a Mercury?
Yeah.
That Pearson drove.
That old Purelator.
Later car.
Yeah.
Holman Moody engine, Wood Brothers car. That thing was roaring down the front stretch.
He lifted a little early.
Well, he did.
KP, man.
He did a solo lap.
He did?
And he, I mean, he wasn't.
Well,
Those
flat
things
out
are a
by any
handful
means,
to
but-
drive, man.
The thing is, he lifted going into the corner, and I think I know why. He probably thought these tires might not hold if I go full bore
Well, I
into
was
the turn.
watching Wood Brothers Twitter during the week.
Yeah.
They were actually prepping old rims and tires from that actual era. They weren't modern tires put on the car. So
I don't
that was
know if
cool,
those
man.
tires are going to hold. It was still one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
That
was
whole
just
weekend
seeing,
was awesome.
It was. And the coolest thing about that is if you go on NASCAR.com, you can watch the Toyota test drive video.
And there's Chuck Bush with long hair. No, that was a
not me.
little baby.
You know, the Wood Brothers, everybody that weekend, everybody was wearing the old school stuff. The Wood Brothers had on their original uniforms, not only
People
the original
bought in.
Oh, yeah.
And the stands were
Everybody.
packed.
The
They
stands
all
were
bought
packed.
in.
It was just a great weekend. But if you go on NASCAR.com and watch the Toyota test drive video that NBC did before the race,
Okay.
where Mark Martin and Kyle Petty went side by side, old car, new car.
Oh, you
that's
mean
gotta
Jeff
be-
Burton?
That's
Jeff
got to be
Burton.
great.
I said Mark Martin.
You called him Mark Martin.
They were teammates. It's okay.
They were, yeah. Anyway, but you can go on there and watch that. It's a pretty cool thing, and you can actually see that car on the track. But to see it live,
It's the lady in black, dude. It's the red and white walls. It's the high banks. It's the cars riding right up in the wall. It's a packed grandstand. It's the humidity of the low country of South Carolina.
And you had to go have a baby and miss it.
And
And
I
you
was
missed
there
it.
on Friday to do garage cam.
and here's the best part. It was all old school stuff,
Yeah,
all old school stuff, but we had the new package.
we did have a new package.
And one of the most outspoken drivers about this package won the race. Carl Edwards.
Yep.
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 I'm good for one show.
Wait, do you have that sound clip queued? No, you didn't do it.
I
Okay,
didn't.
never-
I've got it on my computer. I just haven't put it
Yeah,
in the board yet.
Good
But,
job. Great
yeah.
analysis. Wonderful analysis.
Astute
there.
analysis
But
there.
you know,
but-
Carl Edwards is right. Okay, we're not doing this rules package for the chase, but we're still experimenting as a sport. And this rules package that we saw Kentucky in here is going to help this sport be so much better next year at the racetrack. And I'm so happy about that because, I was in a hospital watching this great race and this great finish on TV, like some of the fans were. And I was darn excited watching it because these cars, you can tell on the TV, they were hard to handle. And all the fans in the grandstands saw that. And the fans at home saw it as well. Carl Edwards was in the car, and he felt it.
He loved it. Steve O'Donnell, after the race, we met behind the hauler, and he said we should know by the end of this month the extent of where this package will be run tomorrow. So, or not tomorrow, next season.
Next season, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to go back and they have to
They have to
digest
go back
all
and
the
digest
information.
it. But the thing is, they like what they saw, and he was interacting with fans on Twitter. They reported back to him via tweets that they loved it. I mean, it was a great race.
Well, and if you watch that race, you know, a lot of guys getting that famous Darlington stripe on the right side of the car. If you looked at Carl Edwards' car after the race, he didn't have a scratch on the right side. You know do you know where it was messed up?
Left side?
Left side from that racing, man. Like,
I'll-
if you watch that battle between him and Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski,
It was an intense 30 laps.
it was. And I mean, I wasn't watching it. I was listening to it because Matt Strickard and I were roaming around the infield shooting some stuff, and I'll get into that in a minute because that was pretty cool. But we're listening to it, and Carl Edwards is tracking him down, then he catches him, and they're battling, they're passing. It was just great stuff. And then we had that caution, and they came down pit road. What was your take on that? Because I feel like you were in the media center at that point, right, Jonathan? Or were you on pit road?
I was in the media center and up until the checkered flag flew, just so I can make sure I wasn't going to miss anything. So.
Right.
So what did you think about the caution?
Yeah. What was your thought on that? Like, I have no real opinion because I didn't see what happened, and I could only hear
I
it.
definitely do, but I want to hear yours.
All I heard was it Jeb Burton spinning?
Yes.
That's all I heard, and then the next thing I knew, the caution came out. Now I didn't. it didn't appear that he hit anything, but I don't know. Maybe NASCAR.
He didn't stop.
Maybe, yeah, for out of precaution, they threw a caution. I don't know. I mean, our restart and end of the race was good. I'm not going to complain about the end of the race, but
I mean, there was some traffic on Twitter that seemed that, you know.
well,
There was drivers that were critical about it, but I'm going to
and that's a good thing about the sport too, is that you can have an opinion, and
Yes.
you know it
Mm-hmm.
generates buzz.
Everybody's got opinions.
I've got a big opinion on it.
Okay.
Okay, because there was one or two drivers that were not happy with this caution.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of people in the grandstands that liked it. But I say this, every caution that's questionable, sometimes NASCAR will throw a caution because they think it needs to be a caution. Well, maybe it didn't need to be, and vice versa. And it's a judgment call. It's not like a rule, like the puck goes over the glass at a hockey game and the whistle gets stopped. This is subjective. So sometimes they're going to throw a caution, and 3 drivers, it might ruin their night.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's 40 drivers that loved it. Nobody's ever going to be 100% happy. It's a judgment call, and that's the way it went. So sometimes these cautions are going to tick you off, and sometimes they're not. But
And I
guess
think that's
what?
what makes
A
that's what
guy's
makes
fun.
this a
It
great.
wasn't an
yeah.
imaginary caution. I don't think it should have been thrown, but that's just me. There's 40 drivers say that might have liked it. There's 1 or 2 drivers that didn't. It's subjective.
Well, at the end of the day, NASCAR made the call, and you have to ask yourself: were you
Safety-based.
or were you not entertained with what ensued after they made the call?
Exactly.
It was good. The battle off pit road. I mean, everything
three
was good at
wide
Darlington.
for the lead off of pit road.
The battle off pit road. The racing on pit road was great. So, and the fact that 4 tires meant something.
Yeah.
That's what I
thumbs up.
liked. That's what I liked. That fall off of those tires. And it's the Goodyear rubber was good, but it was also that old wore out racing surface that provided that. And that's the type of racing that Carl Edwards was talking about. Low downforce, tires falling off. That basically produces competition in passing. And I mean, it was fun to watch.
Well, they said over a 20-lap run from new tires to old tires, you know, the really good cars had a 2-second difference in time.
Well, how
That's
do
a
you
lot.
think it would have been had the caution not gone out and they had to stay on the older tires? What would the battle have been like then? I mean, I know that's purely speculation, but that's what we're here to do right now.
The
is just
cars wouldn't
speculate.
have been as close together. The restart obviously packs people up and makes excitement. But, you know, the long green flag runs, and when those tires fall off like that, you're hanging on for dear life. So I thought we would have had a good race either way.
I think it would have depended. I think your race for second place would have been a lot better because, you know, the leader doesn't have to worry about it. He's going to check out. Those 2 guys are slowing each other down. Not to say that Harvick or Edwards couldn't have caught up to Keselowski, but, you know.
All right, yeah. So
Hey-
what's your overall takeaway from Darlington week?
Loved it. Let's do it next week.
Let's do it every week.
What was your favorite moment the whole weekend, though?
On the track.
On the track or off? I don't care.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Goose.
I liked seeing the old school paint schemes from the 42 and the 17, but this is a this is
Do it. Just do it.
yeah.
Just
I'm
do
not
it.
sure if this is an officially licensed product,
But you can
I
get
found
way
this at
better
an-
things.
I found this at an antique shop.
We went
is a-
antiquing in Florence, South
NASCAR
Carolina.
And you can
Racing.
find stuff that's way better than that on the official NASCAR Superstore.
But there's more.
Oh, there
Oh, wait,
is.
there's more.
There's more.
What else
Talk
is
to me,
there?
Goose.
You can-
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Check this
oh.
out.
no,
Check
take
You
your
might
headset
want to. You
off.
might want to go away
Check
from that
this
shot
out.
for a minute if you're watching
No,
on.
no,
Oh,
no,
good.
no.
Look
no.
at this shirt. Look at this shirt.
Reveal this. Cut.
You can find a lot of things.
I am a real American.
This has an eagle on it.
He's a real American.
This came from the Walmart in Florence, South Carolina.
God bless Walmart.
Did the gold chain come from Walmart too?
No, that was a Christmas present from when I was like in 7th grade.
The 90s.
Yep.
Hey, I wasn't
Wait,
there,
were you
but
in,
do I?
were you in 7th grade in the 90s?
Yeah.
Or was it the 2000s?
Oh God, I'm old.
Probably turn of the century.
That chain is from the turn of the century.
I never thought when we said coolest moment, I knew about the lamp. I never thought it would get that cool.
Dude,
So your abbreviated stay in Darlington.
My
What was your
abbreviated stay-
coolest moment?
The coolest moment
on that
wasn't in
Thursday?
Darlington. It was sitting there in the hospital with my newborn.
my
Listen,
best-
hold
okay,
on,
okay,
hold on,
okay,
hold
okay.
on, hold on. Listening,
my best moment
just
is when
listening-
Dilner left the track Friday.
Just hold on with me. I'm going to bring it back.
All right.
Was listening with my newborn baby and my wife to the Southern 500 called by Ken Squire and Ned Jarrett. Ken Squire, that booming voice, it just brought back so much nostalgia being able to watch it on TV and experience that. And it was a beautiful thing that NBC did to let them go in the booth.
I never thought I'd get to experience something like that. So I appreciate NBC's efforts.
Oh yeah, they really knocked it out of the
because
park.
I mean there is a section of fans out there who are 2000 and newer fans who have a respect for the history of the sport, but because of their age, they weren't allowed to hear those things or see those things.
And I'm old, so I did.
So what Darlington did, I mean, you had just about every era there represented, and the fact that Ken Squire was calling a race there, it was.
And Ned
Jarrett is still sharp as ever.
They couldn't have done a better job, in my opinion.
There's no classier guy than Ned Jarrett.
It was awesome. It lived up to the hype, and apparently they want to do it next year.
I think we should get Ned and Ken Squire in here instead of us because they're a lot better than us.
They do a lot better than you two. They would.
And it was great seeing Squire when I was doing Garage Cam, walking around and taking notes and talking to crew people, talking to drivers, old school, like a lot of the broadcasters do still, but they were walking around getting homework. They didn't just show up.
One of the things that you missed was Sunday, Ryan McGee showed up dressed like Chris Economaki.
Did he have a typewriter? Did he have an old school typewriter?
Zach Albert had an old typewriter.
Well, Zach's the typewriter guy. I love it.
He was tweeting from the typewriter. So he'd type out the tweet and then take a picture of it and put that on Twitter.
Oh, that is great.
So McGee asked a question to Richard Petty in like full Economaki voice.
Now,
everything.
Richard.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to ask
and
you
I'll
a
hang up
question.
the phone.
It was awesome.
I got to say, though, for me, the coolest part, all right, the Wood brothers wearing their original uniforms, holding up the pit board. That's awesome. Seeing all the old paint schemes, it's awesome. But Matthew Strickard and I went around with an old Super 8 camera. And I got into the spirit, man. I had on some Wrangler jeans, some Chucks, an old T-shirt, and I shaved my beard. Obviously, I'm clean shaven this week, but I shaved it
I know you look like you're 12.
Yeah, I look like Ralphie from A Christmas Story. But I had the handlebar mustache and the sideburns. And we're walking around with an old 8mm camera, old Super 8.
You look like somebody who drove a van.
I know. I looked like...
with curtains.
But...
And a dragon airbrushed on the side.
The amount of...
and an American flag eagle T-shirt.
The amount of feedback we got from drivers, from crew chiefs, like, I'm drawing a blank. Joey Logano's crew chief, Todd Gordon, came up to Matt Strickard when he's shooting on the grid. He was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You guys are actually shooting with one of these."
Because you guys are creative.
We are creative, but we're going to hopefully put together a video if the film actually develops right. We have no idea.
Well, who shot it? If Strickard shot it, it'll come out
well,
right.
Here's the thing. That Super 8 camera, it's idiot-proof. All you have to do...
It's also his grandparents, which is even cooler.
Yeah, it's his
There's
grandparents'
some family
camera
history
that
there.
they use to shoot their son's track meets. And I got to tell you, even you could shoot a flyby just fine with that thing because it
And I
frames
saw
it up. Dude, it was awesome. And fans, when we're walking around shooting in the turns, fans were like, "Is that a radar gun? How fast are they going?" So they were confused. But then we'd tell them what we were doing. They're like, "Oh, man.
That's cool.
That's cool." So I'm looking
Hey,
forward
the
to
bottom
that.
line is the whole nostalgia thing was cool. I don't care who you are. I don't
Yeah.
care if you're 4 years old and you're watching that race or 72 years old.
What about 73?
73 I think would
But
would
if you're
not be
75,
overlooked.
it's not good.
That was cool.
If you were 75 years old, you hate it.
And it sets us up for even cooler here.
Yeah.
Well,
because
we're going to another awesome track.
We are, and I gotta say one more thing before we transition to
I
that.
hate closing the door in Darlington.
I gotta say we have some fans.
Well, we're not locking it. So.
Wait,
We
who has
actually
fans?
have. There was
Dirty Air?
when we were when we were shooting.
Shout out to all you Dirty Air fans.
It's an
when we were shooting a
extremely bored
Inside
two
Access.
people.
Hey, when we were shooting an Inside Access with Miss Sprint Cup, this kid came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you work for the NASCAR app?" I was like, "No, I work for NASCAR.com." He's like, I watch your show. I really enjoy it."
Oh, that's cool.
So
we have more than just my mother
and then
my
when Strickard
wife.
and I were shooting in the turns, some guy just yelled out, "NASCAR.com!"
We're poisoning the youth of America.
It's the younger demographic.
It's a good poison.
It is. It's a slow release.
It's a slowed.
But you know it's not a slow release? Richmond.
Richmond.
Oh, baby.
We are heading into the final race before the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
It's my home state,
Woo!
Virginia.
Eagle shirts, bumping and banging, sparks flying. One last chance to make it into the chase. Boom.
You almost have a locked-in chase, but you don't.
Almost is the key word.
Almost. And we're coming right down to it.
You never count your eagles before they hatch, Chuck.
I know. You never count the Eagles before they hatch because that would just be a horrible thing. You have 4 drivers that can win, that sort of control their own chase destiny. Jamie McMurray, Ryan Newman, Jeff Gordon, Paul Menard. They can clinch if, what is it?
Well, McMurray just has to start.
Yeah, McMurray has to start.
Well, they can all clinch if they, have enough points, technically.
Like, McMurray doesn't, well, yeah. Come on now. I'm just giving the scenarios.
If you
McMurray
win,
can clinch. He doesn't even have to qualify. As long as he's got provisionals, he could take one of those. As long as he starts the race, takes the green flag, Jamie McMurray's in the chase.
So basically, it's
feeling pretty
4
good
other
about that
guys.
Newman, Gordon, Menard, and then you have those 4 guys that are right there at the bubble. Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola, Casey Kane, and Greg Biffle.
You better believe that Clint Boyer is going to go for broke. You better believe that because MWR is saying bye-bye. You better believe that Casey Kane is going to go for broke. You better believe that Kyle Larson is going to try to do something. They're not going to sit on their heels in points race and race defensively. They're in a purely offensive position right now, and they put themselves in that position, all of them. And right now it's put up or shut up.
Clint Boyer can clinch if a repeat winner wins. Clint Boyer just has to finish 28th or better.
Yes.
Without leading a lap, if leads a lap, 29th. You throw in the other points in there, but without leading a lap, 28th or better. So he sort of controls his own fate there if you get a repeat winner. But if one of these other guys, if Casey Kane, Greg Biffle, Eric Almirola, Kyle Larson.
Casey Kane's the biggest threat. Casey Kane's the biggest thing Clint Boyer
It's a
has to worry
Hendrick
about.
car. It's a Hendrick car.
Yep.
He is the biggest threat in this race outside. Definitely.
Yep. I mean, we saw it when he won at Atlanta last year. I mean, everybody was like, where's Casey Kane?
Pulled
Where's
the rabbit
Casey
out of the
Kane?
hat.
And just like that, he made his way in. Personally, I think the top 16 you're going to see 85% chance. My little meteorologist play here. There is a 15% chance in my mind that Casey Kane wins the race and knocks Boyer out.
So you're saying,
but there is room.
I think above that, it's set.
Boyer can pass Menard. If Menard wrecks first lap, Boyer finishes second, Casey Kane wins, then Menard's done. And I mean,
but Menard has to finish 10th or better
if he crashes out.
If he crashes out.
So
Yes.
if something goes wrong.
The bottom line is that it's in the driver's hands right now. And this is what we as race fans, whether we're covering the sport or whether we're watching the stands, want to see, is because it's, like I said, put up or shut up. And these guys can't go after this week and say, well, yeah, we just didn't get in because we had one bad race. No, this is it.
Let's not forget,
You've got
too,
one opportunity.
that we're not only just looking at the people around 16th place,
Yep.
the top 30. If someone in Tony Stewart's had some speed the past couple of weeks.
David Reagan.
You've got Tony Stewart back there, David Reagan, Sam Hornish, Trevor Bain.
Last
what if
time we were on a short track, David Reagan was running in the top 5.
What if
David
it comes
Reagan
down
was
to a
running
gas
well.
mileage race at Richmond? What
David
if
Reagan
something
was
wrong
running well at
happens?
Darlington.
Yes, he was.
What if a big wreck happens and takes out the whole, half the field? Then
We
what
forget
happens?
who have we talked about? Austin Dillon.
We mentioned
All
his
these
name.
guys, it can happen. You brought up a great point because this isn't just the guys on that bubble spot. This is a free for all.
Yep. So, I mean, you're going to see, especially for the people who cannot make it in on points. So you're looking at what? 18th on back?
Yeah.
You have to win the race if you want to make the playoff. And I think that's the part that's getting overshadowed.
The drivers that can clinch by winning at Richmond: Greg Biffle, Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon, AJ Allmendinger, Casey Mears, Danica Patrick, Tony Stewart, David Reagan, Sam Hornish Jr., Trevor Bain, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Justin Allgaier.
Clint Boyer, Paul Menard, Gordon, Newman, those guys.
They don't have to win.
They don't have
Roush-
to.
and
but
Roush
if they
had
won,
But I'm
speed.
saying those guys have to win.
yes.
Roush had speed at Darlington, so maybe they're turning the corner. So it's put up or shut up time. So I mean, technically, you
Is this the time when you throw everything that you've got into this car?
got 14 people who can do it.
The bottom line is this is a moment for Dave Kingman, the old baseball player. Swing hard in case you hit it. So these guys have to go out there with their biggest bats in their hands and go for broke, whether it's the setup and their approach to the race, taking risks as far as strategy, taking risks as far as leaning on another car and charging to the front.
I mean, there's Cinderella stories in the NCAA tournament every year. Why couldn't there be one in NASCAR?
Go big or go home.
Yep.
So let's put this to not necessarily a vote. It's not like we're doing parliamentary procedure here, but the two of you, who are you taking in the chase? What is your final 16 heading in to win that trophy?
I think it is. even though there's a chance, I think you're going to see some exciting racing from guys trying to make it in. I think the top 16 that we have now is set.
So you're saying we're locked in?
I think
we're locked in at 16. Clint Boyer is in the chase.
Chance. Yep.
What about you, Matthew Dillner?
You know, I'd like to say that Clint Boyer's spot is safe, but it isn't. I'm going to say that it's either going to be a Kyle Larson or it's going to be a Casey Kane that can threaten for that spot, and I think that's going to be the drama that unfolds at Richmond. I'm hoping we see more of what we've seen there in the past with people getting hot-tempered.
Hope nobody climbs the fence.
Yeah, we don't want to see that.
None of that. That guy out. Done. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
But if you look at that 42 car and what they've done at Richmond in the past, I wouldn't put it past them.
Uh-huh.
They had a pretty solid run there in Darlington.
That's why I say
I think
that 16th spot is up for grabs.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Kyle Larson gets the win.
I think if Larson can break through, I think his
first win comes here.
If he breaks through and gets one win, I think that kid is. It's going to be streaky for him because if he can get over the hump and he can prove to himself that he can do it, you better watch out because Kyle Larson might just win a title if he can get over the hump.
Oh yeah.
And Casey Kane right now, this has to be an awful time for Casey Kane. He's in a Hendrick Motorsports car. They don't miss the chase. Okay, they don't. And right now, he's got a great car. Keith Rodden is crew chief, a fantastic team. They just have not hit the ball at all this year.
I don't want to say that Hendrick is struggling because they're not. They're doing well. But for Hendrick.
They got the number one seed in the chase.
But for Hendrick. They're not at their standard.
This is uncomfortable for that team.
Over this month, and I'd say they're struggling over the last month and a half. I mean, they're not first or second.
It's not panic mode, but it's all right.
It's panic mode for that 5 team.
Well, it's panic mode for the 5 team.
I say it's
panic mode almost for the 24.
No,
the 24 hasn't performed.
It's panic mode for all 4 because you cannot rest on your laurels once you get into a 3-race 4 cars go home thing. You can't. Jimmy Johnson can't spin by himself at Darlington in the chase.
Hey, bottom line is when we get to the chase, it's all Jerry Reed time, okay? It's when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not.
I love that song. That. Yeah. Good Jerry Reed.
Underrated guitarist.
Great truck driver.
Damn straight.
Yeah. So is it going to be...
Snowman, got your ears on.
It's going to be a wild show then this weekend in Richmond.
Darn straight, Skippy.
I think it has the potential. It's just...
I want to see somebody get a black eye like, Marcus Ambrose.
Merriman's going to get a black eye because when we're co-hosting Garage Cam, because you're going to be here with your baby, you can't go too far away when you have a newborn.
Yeah.
But we're gonna tag team Garage Cam, and we might get into a fight.
I'll be back for the chase.
Richmond has all the makings to be a powder keg. The fuse is short, and it is smoking, and all you have to do is... blow on it, and it'll ignite, and boom.
Pull the pin.
That was my sound effect, by the way, since you didn't hit anything on the board.
There it is.
There it is. That's Richmond.
That's Richmond. Woo! I love Richmond.
You got Civil War history, and we might see some explosiveness. Oh, how about that for a cheesy reference? Hey, now.
Explosive history.
Explosive.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Kyle Larson, that 42 car, that's going to be your win at Richmond. He's going to not sneak his way, but earn his way into the chase. So, yeah. It's going to be fun. The other thing that's happening this weekend, football's kicking off. College football kicked off last weekend. Professional football kicks off this weekend.
Panthers, Bills.
That begs the question, though. That's chock full of rivalries.
Oh, yeah.
Packers versus
the Bears.
Cowboys versus the Washington team. In college, Alabama versus Auburn. You've got so many rivalries. Leads me to this question. We're heading into the chase. We've seen some tempers flare. What are your rivalries in NASCAR right now?
This one I think has been muted due to someone being out for
what's your favorite of all time? Do you have a favorite of all time?
Let me finish this point first.
Yeah, let him get through this point.
I think
then we'll get to all time.
If Kyle Busch hadn't have gotten hurt, the Kevin Harvick Kyle Busch rivalry would, it needs a little stoking right now because it's
get the billows.
It's looking the coals are still burning, but it's not where it once was. I mean, when Busch was wrecking Hornaday in truck races and taking people out of title shots and those guys, I mean, they hated each other. And, a guy breaks his leg.
You can't hate
he wasn't nobody hates him anymore.
Well, no,
it used
that
to be
is
the
not
world
true.
against Kyle
That is
Busch.
not true. Have you noticed that since he got back, when he first came back, they're cheering for him.
Yeah, now it's back.
Now
to
he's
booing.
won. He's won all these races. They're like, boo.
Yep. Oh,
Poor Kyle.
I mean, he'll never take off the black hat.
Hey,
Yeah.
we need a villain, man,
Yep.
in this sport. Every sport needs a villain, and although he's a good dude, he's a villain. It's awesome.
He embraces it.
Yeah.
So
What about you? What's your
Well,
right
what's
now?
your
Right
all-time?
now.
Okay,
right
what's
now.
right now?
Yeah.
Right now, I think we have all these little rivalries that need to just come to a head. I mean, they need to happen. I look back at Biffle and Harvick, and I loved that one.
Jump
but
in the car.
Where did it go?
well,
Okay,
one
right now I look at my favorite rivalry that I wish would reblossom, but we can't manufacture things. This isn't wrestling.
well this
is
isn't a
motorsports.
this isn't a shot, but you have to be relevant to be a rival.
Relevant to be a rival. I mean, yeah, Biffle has been struggling this year,
So-
but I think Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, when Brad
At
Keselowski
Bristol?
introduced Kyle Busch and
Yeah.
said Kyle Busch is a beep and dropped them. I mean,
Mic
that is one of the best rivalry moments in the last like five years.
I think that is probably one of the best ones right now. That is,
Yes.
it's right there under
It's
the
there.
surface.
It can happen anytime.
And then Joey Logano's got some. He's doing. It's not as heated. He and Tony
He and
Stewart had
Denny
their,
Hamlin?
Denny Hamlin. There's some stuff there. It's right under the surface. Right now, everybody's kind of playing nice.
What about your all-time?
Still
though, man?
waters run deep,
They
son.
do.
I wanna
and
know-
we were
I wanna
heading
know
into
Bush's.
the time. We were heading into the time when
We're gonna hit some rapids.
hit some rapids because this chase that bumps up that adrenaline, that bumps up all that stuff. So I think we might see some of this stuff.
I mean,
I hope so.
Matt
bubble up.
Kenseth and Brad Keselowski didn't have many problems before. What was it? Was it Charlotte?
The headlock.
And then you had Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski at Texas. So desperate times call for desperate measures, and desperate people tend to do
Desperate
crazy
things.
things. So
You've been itching to know the all-time. Which
What's your all-time? I want to
My
know your
all-time?
all-time. Let's go quick on it though.
mine is the Allisons and Cale Yarborough.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
baby.
because that's why we're here.
the fight
I think I'd go Darrell Waltrip
and everybody.
and everybody back when
Jaws.
they called him Jaws, like Darrell Waltrip versus the world. I think that was
It's like
and-
Kyle Busch versus the
right,
world.
right.
world now.
And it was, if you watched, his persona changed as his career went on. Like he went from being one of the most hated drivers in NASCAR to one of the most beloved,
Yep.
which can happen.
I think-
Everybody loves DW.
What's
now.
yours?
Mine, real quick, is because I got to live in it. Was Earnhardt with Wallace.
What about
Yeah.
Because they
Earnhardt?
had
yeah.
such a great friendship.
What about
away from the
Earnhardt
track.
Gordon? I mean,
Earnhardt Gordon.
Earnhardt
Yeah, but it wasn't
Gordon.
as much of a rivalry there.
Everybody
People made
wanted
it out
that
to
to be
it.
a
It was,
the
they
fan
wanted
bases,
to manufacture it.
You just think about two guys who had the talent
That's a
to go
fan base rivalry. That wasn't stuff that where
But-
they were throwing
but
fenders at each
Do
other.
you have to despise a person in order for it to be a rival?
No, that
or
was-
can
No,
you
because
like, 'cause I
Earnhardt
think
and
they
Wallace
had
got
a-
along. Earnhardt and Wallace got along off the track, but Earnhardt turned them and flipped them at Talladega. They hit each other at Bristol. The water bottle incident.
Earnhardt
I mean,
did the same thing to Gordon.
not as much.
Not
on
as much,
track.
but
It
he
was
did
not as
give
heated.
him he made sure.
Hey,
It was a
intimidated.
he was
rivalry of a
there.
gentleman's game there.
Yeah.
He was just schooling them. Basically, that was the difference. Where Rusty and Earnhardt, it was a little bit more similar in age. So it was a different type of rivalry.
Yeah.
But I love that rivalry because they both had the black cars then for those few years, and they were both just getting after it.
If we raced, I'd put you into the wall. I'd
I should
start
put him in the wall right
I'd
now.
start a rivalry
Knock him off
right
the
now.
stool.
Yeah, my eagle's faster than your eagles.
Your
Hey,
eagle.
if he would have fell off the stool if he didn't have an eagle on.
Everybody drop down and get your eagle on. Sorry, that's a horrible reference right there. But
You're a horrible host.
wow, that is a shot fired. Oh, all right. I am gonna. You just wait till Richmond, man.
Oh man, I
Just
can't wait
wait.
till next week's show because Chuck's gonna bring the thunder.
Bringing the thunder here on NASCAR.com.
He left the door open.
You know,
it
you
was
can
wide
turn his
open.
mic off.
Just
I
don't
can.
touch my lamp.
Hang on. What'd you say? I can't hear you.
I can.
What?
I
What?
can push
What?
this a lot.
That's yeah. We're derailing quickly. What are there? What are you looking at?
There's people visiting the Hall of Fame right now and going by
Yeah.
our window because
They have-
if you're in Charlotte, man, you got to come see the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and we've got the best view because we can see Glory Road,
The
Buck
Hudson
Baker's
Hornets
car,
right there.
The Hudson Hornet
Your
is right
baby
there.
is right there on Glory Road.
I have to bring him in and get a picture with him there.
You do. Just wait till he's a little bit older.
Yeah, he's too
Immune
young.
system's got to firm up first,
Yeah,
from what I hear.
Yeah, I hear that's a thing. You know what else is also a thing?
Eagle facts.
Eagle facts. So it is time for this week's Jonathan Merriman's Eagle fact of the week.
All right, this one's all off the top of the head. I don't have anything scripted this week, but I was thinking about it on the way in. Eagles, when fighting for territory, will lock claws, and they will do kind of a death spiral to the ground, and they oftentimes don't let go. So
don't let go, Jonathan.
In Richmond, we may see two drivers lock talons and fight over territory to get into the chase because it's that important. And you never know who's going to come out on the other side and be in the chase and who's not going to be in the chase. So who knows what we'll see in Richmond? Catastrophe or
fights, Eagle-tastrophe.
Celebration.
Oh, we're going to see.
So, yeah, anyways, basically just drivers fighting for territory to get in the chase and to win the race.
And
all
that's
that good
Eagles
stuff.
fight for territory.
It's relevant.
It is relevant. I'll allow it.
Is there anybody that you think will have talons this weekend?
I will have
Most
talons.
likely to have talons on the track, Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
What? No.
Brad Keselowski?
Brad K, yeah.
Somebody's,
Brad K?
you got to
Brad or
go with
Brad?
somebody
Brad K?
clawing to get in.
Clawing.
yeah,
to,
clawing
so
to get in.
Kyle Larson, maybe?
Yeah, Kyle Larson's
He's going to latch
Boyer,
on.
somebody's got to get up on that wheel, elbows up.
Who gets the win? Who gets the win this weekend, Jonathan?
You pick. Dillner, always go first.
Okay, I wasn't thinking about it, but I'm just going to go
I don't
with
know what
this
second place
little bit of
feels like.
streakiness, and I'm going to go with no, this is bad. I'm just going to go Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
I
Jonathan
mean,
Merriman.
I would take Kyle Busch. I mean, that's who I took in the preview shows when we did him this week, simply because he's the best.
Kurt Busch won there the last time we
I'll
were there
go
in
with
the
his
spring.
teammate. I'll say Kenseth. Kenseth is really underrated at short tracks in my opinion. So I think Kenseth is going to go out there and get the win.
And I've made my pick already. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. So
Larson.
Everybody, watch the race on NBC Sports Network, I believe. I've failed myself as my own producer because I don't have my sheet of what it's going to be on. But watch the race this Saturday night under the lights at Richmond. It's going to be awesome. For Matthew Dillner, new dad.
Who?
Matthew Dillner. And Jonathan Merriman. I'm Chuck Bush reminding you to hop out in the clean air, chase down that leader, and we'll see you next week back in the pack here in the dirty air.
Get your Eagle shirt.